Hi. Hey now. Hello, hello, hello. Another day, another day. Woo. And of course, I've done 651 things already today. Woo. You know what I didn't do was give me some water, and I'm super thirsty. The thirstiest I've ever been. No, I'm not. I take that back. But I did. I did my little workout today, and I've been in the sauna. And I'll tell y'all because I definitely I had 3 minutes left, and I cut it off. I did. I had 3 minutes left for the sauna, and I turned the damn button off. I couldn't take no more. I couldn't take no more. So you got me. You got me. I did. I cut that shit off. I did, I'm sorry. But I still got my workout in. Today was leg day, so did lots of twerking and stuff. Um, Make sure I move my body. Make sure you move your body too. Your body needs to go through its full range of motion, even if you're not lifting weights or doing whatever. You can go on YouTube. Y'all watch YouTube for everything else. Do some Pilates or something. But be careful, because apparently some of those people are anti-black. I didn't know. I didn't know, which was crazy, because I don't know a lot about Pilates, but I know the reason that we know it here in the United States is because of a black woman. I do know that. I do know that. I don't know Joseph Pilates myself, but I do know that the only reason that we got it is because a black woman came over here and gave it to us. So, whatever. But make sure you're moving your body, going through your full range of motion. It's important that we keep our stuff, our joints lubed up. Okay, you never have too much lube. You can never have too much lube. You never. I always find a way to use that. Always. Listen, hey, you can never have too much. So today is Thursday. And on Thursdays, it's Sex Tech Thursday, where we talk about the merger of sex and technology. As long as we've had technology, we've had advancements in sex. Sex and tech have been interlinked from the beginning of time, when they first started building. Every age that it has been, sexuality has also grown with technology. But the purpose of Thursdays here is so that it's not just a conversation that's happening on the back end, that you also know about what the advancements in sex and technology are doing. Most of the time that happens on the back end. You're not really privy to those conversations. People with money and all those kind of things, like, they have access to it, but you deserve access to all the same stuff they know. So that's what we do. We talk about technology and sex, and how those two are working together. And today specifically, we're going to be talking about artificial womb technology. So here's another thing you need to know about Sex Tech Thursdays, is that I am not a tech girly. That's not my life. I was a video gamer. I'm all that, but I'm outside. I like to be outside. So these things that we're discussing are also new to me, right? It's not, I'm not the expert on artificial womb technology. I'm not the expert on nothing we talk about. When we talking about it, we learning together, okay? I might have looked at it a little bit more before we got on here, but I am definitely not the expert. So these are just conversations, us discussing what's going on in sex and technology, and some of the ethical implications of how it moves, how technology moves with sexuality, and so on and so forth. And which is so funny, because I was listening to something earlier and I got an idea about something, listening about, this culture that we're finding out that exists with trans maxing and looks maxing, and it's like all of this stuff that I had no idea existed. And so yeah, man, there's so much to talk about. Like, I love I do love science. I'm just not traditionally smart enough, and I can say that it's a lot of things that I'm really good at. Okay, math, doing numbers in my head. And I won't say it's not science, because I am really good at researching, and I'm also good at like linking stuff together. But I would say technology is not. And that's just because like it's hard for me to think past like 4 steps. Like, okay, that's I looked at my husband's work one day. I was like, what is this? What is all these lines and numbers and dashes and stuff? I'd be confused. So today we're going to be talking about artificial womb technology, what it is, who's getting into it, and what are the social and ethical implications of this new technology, okay? And so artificial womb technology is actually like the, I don't know, it's not the preferred name. The scientific name is ectogenesis, which just means outside of the human body. So ectogenesis is the process of growing and developing a fetus outside of the human body in an artificial womb. So, normally when someone gets pregnant, a baby is in the uterus for 9 months. The uterus, the baby builds a placenta from it, and that the baby eats and gets all the nutrients from that placenta that grows inside of the uterus and inside with the baby, and it's filled with oxygen and all that other stuff. In ectogenesis, scientists use what's called a biobag, or another device that kind of mimics the womb. So it fills the womb with fluid, oxygen, and different types of nutrients. And the artificial womb keeps the fetus alive and growing just like the uterus does. Now, I know that us having this conversation now on the heels of, our family crisis, definitely the biggest quotation of marks, right? But that's not what this is about. I know that people are going to have really big feelings about it, and I won't say that that's not warranted, right? Because sometimes things are created for one thing and end up being used for something else. Just like, GLP-1 was originally used to help people with diabetes, and then they found out that you can lose weight with it, and people started using it for that, right? And in reality, that's science. But sometimes those things are not as helpful as the original reason it was created, okay? But in a capitalist society, you would think that, oh, they're just going to use this so they can make babies and blah, blah, blah. That's not really why this technique was championed. It was actually championed to save babies that are already in their gestational period. Why is that? Because the survival rate of premature babies born at 22 weeks of pregnancy is close to zero. Okay. So if you have a child, if you are pregnant, you have a very much wanted baby, and something happens to that baby at 22 weeks, there's a very, very, very high probability that you are going to miscarry that child. But that survival rate rises to 80 to 90% at the 28th week. Hence, the 28th week of pregnancy is widely considered to be the threshold whereby premature babies are better placed in an artificial womb environment rather than neonatal intensive care unit. Okay. So that's what the technology is being championed for, to be able to help premature babies to function and still be able to have a viable pregnancy even after, the baby is born prematurely. Okay. And so to look at to this, I don't know, let's see, when did this start? Let's see. I don't know when. Let's look and see when it started. Or when was the first. I didn't look that up. Okay. Okay, so the AI overview, which, we could take that with a grain of salt. Oh no, this is hold on, because this is the Journal of Okay, so 1923. Oh, Brave New World depicts Huxley depicts a world in which embryos are fertilized in test tubes, chemically arranged into hierarchical socio-biological groupings, from alphas who go on to take most important roles in societies to epsilons, a slave caste who work in large crematoriums mining phosphorus. Oh, that's from the movie. I don't care about that. So originally it was dreamed up in a book. And so, okay, because let's talk about that, because I've always had that. Do you ever wonder if artists, and by artists, I mean writers, directors, playwrights, if they are influencing the future, okay? And hear me out. You remember when we were younger, we used to watch the Jetsons, okay? And on the Jetsons, they were FaceTiming all their calls. This was before we even had cell phones. They were FaceTiming their calls, right? Do you think that we got FaceTime because of the Jetsons? Like, I have always had that question, like, it may have always been going to head that way, right? But what if it wasn't? Like, what if we were never going to FaceTime? Like, what if in an alternate reality there are no face-to-face phone calls? Like, it's still just digital, but there's some other kind of technology that like took its place, right? And so when you think about that, the idea that someone's idea that they wrote in a book is now real live tech, that is wild to me. Or like that, I remember on Total Recall, this is definitely showing my age. You remember she was playing tennis with a hologram. She was practicing her tennis with a hologram. And then those damn holograph, like a couple years ago, them holographic TVs come out that you could play like all kind of stuff with. Like, that is crazy to me to think that somebody who just wrote a movie or wrote in a book about a story was the influencer of some type of technology. And what can I create? Like, what do I want to make? Anyway, that's totally off tangent. But I often wonder if those two are interlinked. So even though this was the first mention of it, was the technology, did it derive from the idea of this? Now, hopefully we don't pick up the caste system part of it, but it looked like we are. So, Annie can't help that. I'm sorry. But it does look like we picked up the technology. So, yeah. Okay, so, why are we doing this? Some of the reasons why this technology is being introduced and how it's becoming so popular is because, of course, it makes pregnancy safer by reducing the maternal risk. If a mother is not able to physically carry a child, then, having an alternate option where the child gets to survive is definitely on the table, right? We want to make that. It also opens it up to new family making options for people who don't want to be pregnant, including, queer, trans, and disabled parents, but also just maternally, Black folk do not survive, or Black women do not survive pregnancy as often as their counterparts. And so if you still wanted to be a mother and you just didn't want to die from it, you would have access to this technology. Now, when I say you would have access, I don't mean that, your rights, because apparently our rights are very negotiable. You don't. I thought your rights were your rights, but, they have showed us differently that that's not what that is. And so, but in the instance of fair use is what we will use. If it was not safe, or if you were not physically capable of carrying a child, you would be able to have this as an option. Now, before we start getting scary, this has not been used on humans just yet, right? This is still happening just on, trial basis with different types of animals, but it has not moved to human trials, even though the FDA does believe that it will move to human trials very soon. But right now, that's not an option. In the future, the goal is full gestation outside the body. That's from fertilization to birth. So that is, no one having to sacrifice their life or their limbs or, their ovaries or potential being able to create life in the future from, all the things that can happen when you getting pregnant and giving birth. I don't know why people take it so lightly. It is super, super dangerous. Like, your body apparently, and I don't know this is just what I heard, but apparently the pain of giving birth is equivalent to breaking every single bone in your body. I never broke a bone, but I don't want to do that. Okay. I cannot imagine what that's like. And then the body is just, it takes at least a year, up to 2 years for the insides to heal, for the things to go back in place, for your hormones to balance out. Like, it is a very, very long process. Like, this is not something that should be taken lightly. And it's also something that naturally many women cannot pull off. There are people who have experienced so many miscarriages from wanted pregnancies because their body just isn't capable of carrying a child. So, what it's being used or being studied and researched for definitely seems like we're on the right track to help those who may not be able to physically make a baby or carry a full baby to term, but to still have the option of experiencing or going through the full gestational period of making a baby, right? Um, so what kind of ethical questions does this raise? So anytime we're talking about new advantages in sex and technologies, we have to talk about who stands to be harmed in those in that data subset, who is not present in the research, all those types of things. And so the ethical concerns are definitely going to be one of the reasons why this is could be an issue. One of the main ethical concerns is going to be so under such certain circumstances, the use of artificial womb technology could replace one harm and be replacing one harm with another possible worse harm. So if you do have a premature baby and that baby has other underlying conditions, what is the ethical concerns with discontinuing care? Okay. Even though the life of the fetus has been saved, the development of the offspring could be compromised, right? And particularly vulnerable parts are going to be lungs and brain activity and things like that, because those are extremely vulnerable organs in a premature baby. And so if that was to happen, what are the ethical concerns with no longer continuing the route of artificial womb technology, right? And, having a premature baby just regularly automatically puts that child at higher risk for certain medical conditions such as cerebral palsy or a hole in the heart. Like things like that are common risk factors of a child being born premature. Okay, so I'm going to read this because I don't want these to be my words. This is from the paper from Springer Nature, from the research of Springer Nature. The emotionally distressing circumstances of premature births might cloud rational decision-making and pondering of long-term consequences by parents. Their basic primal instinct to save their child at all costs will likely kick in, regardless of the risk of disability and hefty medical fees that can put them heavily in debt for years to come. The situation is made worse by the fact that many cases of extremely premature births are medical emergencies, such as accidental miscarriage caused by traumatic injury, which would require hasty, on-the-spot decision-making in putting the newborn on life support with artificial womb technology. There is basically no time for parents to think and ponder carefully on the long-term consequences of their decisions. So if someone were to be put into the position where they were, say, in a car accident and there was someone there with child, when they go in, they're in a life or death dire situation that's happening in real time, and the idea is going to be to save my child, but not necessarily the time to contemplate the long-term implications of that, right? And I know, again, when it comes to life and, a mother and parents, your mind is I need to save my baby. I have to save the child. I have to save the baby, do whatever you need to do. But of course, that's going to be the adrenaline. That's going to be the parent in you saying, hey, I need to take care of my baby. I need to, whatever you have to do to save my baby, save my baby. But not really processing what that means for future you, what that means for your financial status, what that means for your emotional status. And yes, in the grand scheme of it, parents are expected to adapt. Whatever it is, you're just expected to adapt. But you also have to keep in mind that those resources may not always be available to you, right? Because if you are drowning in medical debt, you have less opportunities to try new things. If something were to happen, you would be less likely to want to take your child to the hospital because you don't know, if you're going to lose your home or all these other things. In America, a child can put you in unrecognizable debt, right? I'm talking about parents having to put their houses up, all those kinds of things. Even daycare. I remember like in 2000 and I want to say like 12 or 13, I asked a question on my social media about how much people's daycare was. And people were like $900, $1,600 for one kid. For one child. Like, that's crazy behavior. So it could put you, the ethical implications is that in the time of a crisis, you may not make the best decision for you and your baby because, you're just like, we have to do whatever's necessary. Ooh, okay, that has nothing to do with this. Okay, and then on top of that, right now, many states in the US have very restrictive abortion laws or very restrictive termination laws. Some states have zero exceptions for this. And so if that were to happen, this process could be legally problematic to terminate the life of a disabled child on life support with artificial womb technology, especially if the child was born after 24 weeks of pregnancy. Because I believe you only have like 6 weeks as a window for most states, which is crazy because you wouldn't even know you were pregnant then. Like, your first day of pregnancy is, no matter when you got pregnant, your first day of pregnancy is going to be moved to the first day of your menstrual cycle. And so whatever the first day of that menstrual cycle is, now mind you, your ovulation is like 10 to 14 days away from the first day of your menstrual cycle. So your ovulation date could be 2 weeks from that, right? And then that means your next period's not for another 28 days. So you got like 2 more weeks of that you're supposed to get a period. So now we're at 4 weeks. You're supposed to be bleeding for 1 week. And then you're supposed to know that you're pregnant in that time frame to be able to have that 6-week window. And so if you don't have regular menstrual cycles, you may not even know until if you know anybody whose parents, there is somebody in your life who has had a baby who didn't even know they were pregnant. I know 2 people that showed up at the hospital with stomach aches. One was my best friend's mama. She was out hooping and everything, having the time of her life, big pregnant, no idea until she was 7 months and in the hospital like, something is wrong, baby. And then my cousin went to the hospital, stomach hurting. She had been, working her life away. And they was like, yeah, girl, you pregnant. And like 2 weeks later, she had a baby. Didn't even know she was pregnant that whole time. So you can absolutely, if you don't have regular cycles, which a lot of people don't for many reasons, for medications, different physical symptoms, stress, there are being underweight, sometimes being overweight. There are so many reasons why you may not have a regular 28-day cycle that could put you past that 6 weeks. And um then, because now doctors have the ability to say yay or nay, what is the conscientious objection of, what would you do with the conscientious objection of medical doctors who would have to terminate that life support? Those with strong religious beliefs may not be comfortable doing that. You've made this really tough decision, this really hard, really difficult decision, and your doctor could say, I don't feel comfortable doing that. I'm sorry, I don't. And so, and they may, in some states and in some cases, have the right to do that, right? Because, you don't have no rights. Sorry. I didn't want to put it out there like that, but we don't have rights. So, unless you got money, you don't have no rights. So if that does happen, you know, and I get it, doctors, religion, I don't know, has somehow wiggled its way into everything, even into the lives of people who are not religious, which just bothers me so. Oh gosh, don't get me on it. Don't. Okay, don't get me on the religious tangent, because I'll tear this, I tear it down. But that even if you are not a part of that religion, you're not practicing that religion or any of that, you are allowed to go into a field and impose your own beliefs onto other people and make their lives more difficult because of what you believe in. And so there are places where physicians have been given that go ahead and that support to be that type of person. I mean, we give support to those kind of people anyway. I remember that lady who didn't want to make the cake for gay people. Oh, girl. If you don't take this $78 and shut the hell up, I don't know. Just, so again, I will never be able to understand. Okay, I said don't. So we not, because I said don't. Okay. One of the other big issues, of course, one of the biggest issues is going to be accessibility and affordability, because who's going to have the options to take advantage of this type of care? It's not going to be poorer parents. It's not going to be, it's going to be people who have a lot of money. And there are very few of us with a lot of money. And especially when it first debuts, we are not going to, this is going to be very costly. It is something that's going to put families heavily, heavily in debt. And not even just, in debt for right now. We're talking about ongoing debt that could last for years and years and years. Hefty medical bills, right? And there are people who are not even using artificial womb technology that are already experiencing that pain. And if you have not been locked in, you should definitely go hear those people's story. Again, I don't know how this society is expected to continue. I don't know, this path that we're on is not sustainable. It really feels like we're on the brink of people throwing tea in the river. It really feels like the people are going to be pushed towards violence. And that makes me so sad, because we're supposed to be civilized. We're supposed to be better than this. Well, they are supposed to be. I'm not putting I usually say we, but I'm not saying we in this case, because that's them. But they are supposed to be better than this, but they aren't. This is our life. So, the people who have the money and have the resources, they want to keep it at the top, and they are going to wring the bottom dry. They're going to wring it dry. They're going to take it for everything that you have and just hoard whatever they can and let it all burn. It is not a self-preservation thing. It is not a social preservation. It is me, I. And, we're watching this while people are being laid off, but companies are making record profits. Healthcare has completely taken over and privatized health. They've decided that, I don't want to pay for that. I know that you need it, and I know that you pay me all this money for me to give it to you, but I don't want to pay for that, and I don't think it's necessary. So, Like when I found out that one of my friends who has MS he had to go to the doctor every years to prove that he was still handicapped, and then sometimes it would still get denied. Like he would have to go through all these hoops. Our disability, don't get me started on that. Okay. I'm not, but I'm close. I'm not gonna do it. But we make it so hard for people to survive, and then we get mad at them for not surviving. So that's not something that's going to be afforded to you. You're going to have to watch your baby collapse. That's what poorer people have to do. And so if we know that, how do we offer this as a treatment for people that is not just based on income? I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer. And then, of course, the issue of in the future of artificial womb technology being able to support all 9 months of pregnancy. And so what does that look like? And what is the ethical issues with that? And so in the paper, it says, for example, affluent career women might use artificial womb technology to escape the burdens of pregnancy and childbirth. This might lead to pathologizing pregnancy and childbirth as a form of sickness. Still worse, knowing that women have the option of gestating their children in an artificial womb, employers might pressure them to avoid taking maternity leave. Large multinational corporations might offer the technology to high-value female employees in senior management. So it will definitely be commercialized. Because the people with the money will be the ones that would be able to offer the service, it's going to be commercialized. And so we have to, all of these new technologies, all of these new advancements in sexual health, we're always going to have to be the advocate for the people who don't show up in those. And so this is even more crazy to me that, do I just want to fuss today? Is that what this is about? Am I fussy? I think I might be fussy because we can't keep mothers alive. We, right now, did you know, and I will say this every day that I have a breath to say it, according to the Center for Disease Control, that 84% of maternal deaths are preventable? 84. Hold on. Was it still 84? Hold on. Let's Google it and I'll put it on the screen. Okay, hold on. Let's get up. Let's get in the business now. And we are going to take you off and let's put you on. Show window. Where are you? Oh. Okay. Where is it? More than 80% of pregnancy-related deaths are preventable. A death is preventable if there was at least some chance it could have been avoided with reasonable changes to patient, family, provider, facility, system, and or community factors. And that is reasonable changes. They're not even talking about you doing something magnificent to save these mothers. Reasonable changes. 80% of pregnancy-related deaths are preventable. I want you to imagine you are at your job, right? And you make some mistakes, right? Your Six Sigma, it's a little off, right? You might just be like a white belt or something. You ain't all the way there. And sometimes you make a mistake. Imagine if your boss brought in a sheet of paper that showed all of your mistakes on it, and 80% of those mistakes were preventable. Do you think that you wouldn't get put on a PIP? I feel like If 80% of my mistakes that I was making at my job was preventable if a pilot crashed a plane 2 times. Okay, he just 2 times. It was I've been flying for 47 years. I crashed a plane 2 times, right? If both of those times, those plane crashes were preventable, do you think that he would still just be able to fly and be regular and go on about the life? And we're talking about deaths here. But the reason why that conversation is not important and the reason why we're not having that discussion is because the bulk of people who die from pregnancy-related issues are Black women, Black and Indigenous women. So in some counties, Black women are like 600 times more likely to die. Some places it's only like, 20-40%. But when you start getting into rural places where other systemic factors are in place, when, they don't have access to sexual health, where there's no OBGYN on staff for 100 miles, all those kind of things, it compounds how difficult it is for a woman to carry a pregnancy to term. But even in that difficulty, it's still a preventable. I'm finna get mad. So if nothing else, it just shows you the value of Black lives, and it shows you the value of mothers, and that the world doesn't care for mothers. Honestly, it don't even care about babies. But we live in such a hypocritical society. I never ever thought. I never. What you say there, Ray? I never would have thought I saw the day. I never would have saw. This is not an advanced society, right? A society where 84% of pregnancy-related deaths are preventable, that's not an advanced society. It's not. And so what do we do? This is not Tuesday. Why is this up here messing up my life? It needs to be this one and not this one. I didn't even realize that. My bad. It's not Tuesday. You haven't been drinking, okay? But yeah, like a situation where we're in a society where 80% of our maternal deaths are preventable. That is not an advanced society. It is not. If people are dying and there is over a 50% chance that we could be doing something about that, then we're not advanced. We never were, honestly. But just to be in a society that feels so hypocritical that it's like, we have to ban abortion because we have to save the babies. You don't care about those babies. You don't. No one has asked how my sister's baby was doing. No one has stepped in and said, the baby that you had, even though that it took your body and it took your life, that baby is so important to us. No one has done that. No, they don't care. That is not the issue. This is about control over women's bodies and control over the environment that wants your child to feed the system of commercialism. That's all it is. It is not a genuine care for you. And the scientists that are doing this work, shout out to them, because it has nothing to do with them. They're doing the work hoping that it's going to be used for the right technology, but we don't do that, right? I'm finna fuss. Okay, well, I'm gonna fuss. It's my show. I can do what I want. Any type of new technology is usually funded by the people, right? When EpiPens were created, when diabetes was created, all those we collectively, our taxpayer dollars go into the research and the funding of those different types of, treatments, right? As soon as the treatment is found to be effective, somebody buys it, and then now they can sell it. They wasn't there on the back end. They weren't putting up the money for it to be investigated. But now that it's being sold, now that they know that it works, we need to sell it. We need to make as much money as we can. And that's the environment that we're in. That's the place where we live. So, there's always a want for change. There's always a want for updating or keeping the line between sex and technology. But there's going to always be that back chirp that that this is not going to be available to the people who need it. It's not going to be used for, I would hope that it was, but history has told me that that's not going to happen. So we just have to stay on the groundwork of it. Hopefully we can leave this world in a place where our children don't have to suffer the way, where 80% of maternal pregnancies are pregnancy-related deaths are not preventable, but that is where we are right now. So unfortunately, like I said, it is not safe for you to be having babies right now. I don't care what them people is telling you. It's not safe, honey. It's not safe. It's not safe. You need to figure out what you're going to do, because your life could be on the line, and it could be a completely preventable death. You could lose your own sister. You can lose your own partner. You can lose your wife. You can lose the mother of your other children in a completely preventable way, and nothing's going to be done about it. So just don't, hey, listen to you, ain't it? Don't do it. All right? So, as artificial womb technology grows, we'll see where it takes us, and, how it's going to end up. And only thing we can do is just hope for the best, right? That's all I got. So, all right. So what's today? Today's Thursday, which just leaves tomorrow, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We will be meeting back here for a late night with Coach Katasha, where we will be chatting it up, and enjoying being messy. Okay, it's not regularly a messy platform, but on Fridays we like to be a little loose. We like to be a little, we like to hang out a little bit. So that's what we'll be doing tomorrow, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Make sure you locked in. Only for a couple more days, up until October the 1st. What are we looking for? We're looking for you instead of you. You have the option of joining my Patreon. Our Patreon, I loaded a role play on there yesterday. So if you are currently a member on my Patreon, you should have a fun little step-by-step tutorial for a role play you need to check out. I did my favorite one first, which was Stuck. Love Stuck. So, as of right now, if you want to join my Patreon and support sexual resources and sexual health for adults, it's only $3 a month, and you will be grandfathered in and moved to the next tier after October 1st, where we will have we're going to be talking about some more in-depth stuff on there, stuff that I can't necessarily discuss on some of these platforms. You can't really get down through there like you want to because of the moderators and everything that's going on. So if you want to lock in with our Patreon, it's Coach Katasha, CHSE, Certified Holistic Sexuality Educator. You can join us and help support practical sex education for adults. You can also find me on expressionoverrepression.com. You can Google me, Katasha Gordon or Coach Katasha. It's actually all my stuff, which is crazy, the crazy idea. But yeah, hey, hello. So yes, our Patreon is a little bit active. I'm still trying to figure out how to get my toys and stuff. Thank you. I like to think so too. No, I'm just playing. Thank you very much. White chocolate, beautiful. Now hold on. First of all, I am dark skinned. Okay, please stop playing in my face. I am chocolatey. Okay, no, I'm just. No, I'm just kidding. You caught me because I've been in here fussing all day, so you came in at the right time. Oh, you talking about me? I'm sorry. No, I do not have my ring on. I do apologize, but I definitely am big taken. I am married to. Oh, okay. You just wanted to say that, didn't you? You just wanted to say that. That's okay. I'm big married. I'm married to. Mm, yeah. No worries. You good. No worries at all. But still, you never know. Um, there are people in here who might be interested in that. So stick around, because people single, and if you got it, I can teach you how to use it. That's all I've said. If you might have the 8 inches, but do you know what you're doing with them? Because if you don't, you in the right place. Okay, Coach can make you better. I can make you better. So thank you for stopping in. Okay, well listen, you in the right place. We teach sex education here on this platform, so tell your friends too. But if you do learn, I'm telling you, you're gonna be amongst the elite. You're gonna be amongst the elite white chocolate. So absolutely, I'm glad that you showed up though, because you did make me happy for a moment. Because I have been here fussing. I guess I'm fussy today. But yeah, we'll be back here Friday, tomorrow at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time for Late Night with Coach Katasha, where we'll be talking about all things sex and sexuality and gender. And we definitely finna be talking about Janet Jackson and Jermaine Dupri, because please, please, Jermaine Dupri, get out of our face. Okay, let me not say that. That was mean. Oh gosh, my cycle must be about to come. It is, because I do feel like that. I do. Oh, you just had to be married. I do. I know. And you know what? He snatched me up too. Like, I didn't even get to be single that long after I met him. He snatched me the hell up. He wasn't giving y'all no chances either. He was no room, no nothing. He immediate was like, so you gonna be my girlfriend or what? So, unfortunately, he slid in. He slid in on y'all and locked it down. I tell you what, white chocolate, the rest of them wasn't too happy about it neither. They wasn't. They were very upset. The people were mad. They was mad. But he know what he get. He know what he get. Oh, you be out here snatching him? Okay, I talk about lucky he did. Okay, all right. Yeah, I see you with your confidence. I like that. I like boys who be having confidence. That's cool. Cause I heard. Okay, I'm not being in your business. But do you think that it's more difficult to talk to girls now? I know you a man, I can tell it. Do you find it more difficult? Like, is it harder? Do you think dating now is harder? And talking to girls, like I've been seeing guys talking about how they struggle connecting with women and like having conversations with women and stuff. I wouldn't think it would be harder, but I mean, I guess I don't know, because I don't have to work that hard for girls. I mean, I do, but I just was wondering, like, does it feel different for men now to have to try to like connect and to reach out to women? Because they saying it's hard. Listen, if you single, I heard the pool got pee in it, so you should be in there cleaning up if you single and you're nice. You gotta be single and nice. But yeah, I was wondering, like, you just think it's more difficult? Let me see what else. I haven't been checking nothing that's going on around here. Let's see. All right. Well, that's us for today. I gotta go do some garden work. I need to go cut my okra. I got some okra that I should have been cut down. It's probably big as my arm by now. But we will be back here tomorrow, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. I look forward to hanging out with y'all and seeing you. And so make sure you tune in. Make sure you're following us on Twitch and on YouTube so that you can see our material and you don't miss a stream. All right. I'll see y'all another time. Peace and